I hope you're doing amazing. Today is Earth Day and we're going to talk about 5 palettes that I found in my collection that have very earthy vibes. If that sounds good, as always, press that thumbs up button and let's get started. Everyone, I got my earthiness on. I'm actually doing an eye look with 2 of these palettes. When we get to those palettes, I'll mention to you which ones they are. Also, there's going to be a 6th palette that I'm going to kind of squeeze in there as a bonus. Let's get started. The first palette, obviously, is a palette called Earthy. I mean, how could I not include this palette in there? The green that I've used in my look is Pixie, this color. So when I'm talking about earthy colors, I think about a combination of greens and neutral colors, colors of the earth. And obviously this palette is an epitome of a green palette and has all kinds of variations of green, and it's called Earthy. Do I need to say more? Our next palette is Muse from Cosmic Brushes. This one also gives me a lot of nature vibes. You have a lot of earthy colors in here, the variations of browns, and then you have variations of greens, and then you have some other things that could be those flowers popping in nature. The purples, the orange, the pinks, all of them are colors you see in nature, which is what gives me such an earthy vibe. Our next palette is Heather Austin's collab with Adept. This is such a versatile palette. You have the neutral colors, and it's not just the mattes. You have this color that kind of has a neutral shift. You have these 2 that have neutral shifts that really look like minerals. So when we're thinking about the earth, obviously it's also the geology of the earth, so the minerals that can be colorful. Even this blue, it reminds me of lapis lazuli or other gemstones that come from the earth. Similarly with the pinks, rose quartz, everybody. And you have the green, and mixing it with yellow, you can get lighter shades of green. So such a beautiful palette. You can make all kinds of looks with it that have that earthy vibe. And the shifts of these totally makes them look like gemstones. Let's talk about our bonus palette. Jaclyn Hill's Morphe collab, anybody? I know this is an old palette and the idea here isn't for you to go buy this palette if you don't have it. But I know a lot of us have this because this used to be an OG back in the day. It's actually one of those palettes that's very hard for me to depart with because I really, really like this palette and I made all kinds of looks with it. Can you guys believe that? I mean, I can't believe it when I look at it today because it's 99% neutral, but then you still have some of these greens, which are very earthy greens. Particularly these 2 colors are not colors I see very frequently. And then you have this little pop over here with this yellow, again, very much colors of nature, which is why I included this palette in this list. If you have it, it's a great palette to use if you're trying to have an earthy theme in your look. And I just realized that I keep complaining about not having cool tone browns in my collection, but I totally do. I never thought about reaching for this palette for those colors. Now I'm wondering if I should consider depotting this palette. Before I get to the last 2 palettes, quickly mentioning that the difference between spring palettes and earth palettes for me is that spring palettes are more about nature and flowers and greenery and springtime, and earthy palettes are palettes that have the colors of the earth. So more neutral than spring palettes. You can be desert colors, you can be colors of minerals, you can be colors of gemstones. I'm talking about neutrals. We have Sugar and Spice from Glaminatrix. Now this palette really reminds me of the earth because of all of these neutrals. And then you have some of these pops of colors that could totally be colors of gemstones or minerals, like opal, for example. Frankly, all of these colors remind me of the colors of metals. Maybe this one could be garnet. And I've made some fun looks with this one. I think I have at least one look in this channel. I'll tag it for you all. And Beauties, our last palette, is actually one of my favorite neutral palettes. I know, I'm not a neutral person, but it is a palette that I really like Can you guess which one it is? Drum roll. Dollhouse from Blend Bunny. And this one also has that earthy colors with colors of minerals. Color story, I have used this mostly in my eye look. I have used this color in my crease, display, plume in my outer V and lower lash line, and then I put lace in my inner corner. But this is definitely a palette where even the shimmers are pretty earthy. I mean, you do have pink, you do have purple, but both of these colors could totally be colors of gemstones. Similarly with the colors in the row below. Okay, beauties, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know below if you want me to do the same kind of idea, but the singles version. Write your answers in the comments below. Have an amazing day, happy Earth Day, and until next time, bye!